Welcome, everybody. My name is Lisa Hagen. I'm a senior manager here at Armanino, and I am here today with my good friend, Jenn McCabe. She is a partner at Armanino, and this is our second episode, actually, about getting back to work. Go ahead, all right. So on the first part that we covered, we talked about the business intelligence tool. On this one, we're going to talk about some other things that we have available, one being an app. The rest of those bullet points you see there, we're going to hit on this episode, and let's hit it. So we have a lot of people solutions, and everything that's going on right now, of course, is having big effects on people. So there's much to think about. We have to think about who's traveling, where they're traveling, the changes in office behavior, where they're working. And we have to be concerned with people's privacy because, of course, they're going to be worrying about that too. There's much to monitor and a lot of things to keep in mind when we do so.
Yeah, that's why we're having this discussion, because I'm horrified at the thought of someone taking my temperature. So that's just my personal issue. We'll talk about that a little later. We also have to think about the effect on the operations of the company. So Lisa specializes in a lot of HR and payroll matters, and I have more of an accounting and finance background. So I'm thinking about the office, and I'm worrying about things like negotiating my leases for clients. I'm wondering, do I really need that space? I'm also talking to customers about their insurance policies a lot, because insurance policies need to change and adapt to the new way that we are working. Some of them might be less expensive and some might be more, but I worry about it. And then, of course, we're also thinking about communications all the time. In this age when people aren't together, communication has become fun and different, and we need to make sure we're communicating with our staff, our customers. And so as we at Armanino approach going back to the workplace, we think about it from all of these angles, and we try to come up with solutions that cover absolutely everything under the sun. So with that said, don't freak out when you see this list, but this is our to-do list.
And it looks like everything under the sun.
Well, I've got 2 more pages, Lisa,
oh
2 more pages.
Okay.
So I think what we've done, though, to help us is group it into sections. So every one of our solutions, we use technology to make it easier on ourselves, because this list is daunting. And if you have technology to help you, it takes a lot less elbow grease and a lot less filing paper in drawers and writing things down. It is just so much more achievable if you have technology. So we have that listed first, and we have communication listed second, because it's as important as anything right now. So as a consulting firm, that's way high up on what we think about, communications and technology. Then I start moving down into policies, which is where everybody else sort of starts. But at the granular level, we have, of course, workplace and HR policies. We've got safety programs to think about now that maybe we had one, but we have to change it. A lot of customers are asking us to help them address travel policies, because travel right now is vastly different than travel was 4 months ago. Whether it's personal or business travel, it affects the workplace. We have new leaves to manage now. The Family First coronavirus stuff came in, and that was a new kind of leave on top of family leave management. And that's really kicking in as parents of young children are asking for this time off because they can't figure out how to do their job and deal with kids at home. We're having a lot of fun with this employee retention credit, which is a part of the CARES Act. So we're adding that to our to-do list. It's a huge tax credit to anyone who continued to pay their staff, even though they were unable to continue to work, and they didn't get the PPP loan. So anybody who didn't get the PPP loan is eligible for this credit, and it's up to $5,000 per person. It's pretty fantastic. So it's on the to-do list because we're getting people tons of money back. Then on the operations side, we've got privacy. Lisa, you mentioned that. Monitoring my health to me feels like a violation of my privacy. we have workplace visitation problems now. Are we going to allow customers to come and visit us? Are we going to ask our staff to go there? And then we have tax matters that result from this change. If you decide to stay work from home and you're not going back into a workplace where everybody's together, well, then that means that you might have payroll changes. You might have minimum wage changes because your folks are working from home and the minimum wage in the next county over is different. Or it could be that they're across the state line. And that means that you now have an employee in another state. And that changes business licenses. It changes the owner's income tax filings. It's really different. We have been asked a lot. Lisa, the other day you were talking to someone about expense reimbursement policies, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
changing.
Because employees are paying for things that they wouldn't typically have paid for had they been working in the office. So that is a change.
Right. So we have to do that.
Yeah. What are those titles across the top?
So the way we lumped this into these headers, and then we decided to look at it as what's critical, what do we have to do before we go back? So that's readiness and planning. Anything in this left column is, okay, I got to do that and think about it before I start putting people back in my workplace. But then when we go back, the orange in the middle is, okay, I got to do all that stuff now too, because I'm rocking and rolling, and this is now we don't have a vaccine. We're going to have to mitigate risk for employers, because remember, this is really about the risk to the employer ultimately. And then steady state would be, say, the end of the year or early next year. We then need to address all these interim policies that we had and decide what we're keeping and what we're going to toss. And every single one of these for me as a financial person is about saving money, because I'm a little worried about this insurance stuff. I mean, I'm worried about tenancy and renegotiating with different vendors because my workplace has changed. I'm worried about my budget and maximizing my cash flow. So when I think about these, I think about it that way. Money always is at top of my mind just because of who I am. And then I'm also thinking about long-term and what we need to do at the end of the year too. So we're setting all of this up, and it's a horrible list. So let's think about how we do that.
Well, one more question on that. It seems like if I've decided that I'm going to bring my employees back to work, that's one to-do list. And if I've made the decision to keep everybody working from home, that's a different to-do list, right? And we'll still need to update things regardless of the decision that we make.
Yes, that's a really good point. Regardless of whether an employer is returning everyone to the workplace or not, policies have to change. The old handbook is the old handbook, even if it was written in January 2020. And even if you are telling me that you're not going to go back to the office and therefore you don't need to have a return to work plan, that's not true, because you need a work from home policy. You need to address how you're going to monitor employee attendance, and you need to think about how you're going to monitor your insurance policies. So no matter what, every employer has something to do right now to make a good plan. And Lisa, what's the deal with work comp? That's a big risk mitigation issue.
It is. If you can show that you've taken really good faith steps to protect to make your workplace safe and to protect your employees and your visitors and your customers, then that gives you a lot of leeway if someone were to come and file a workers' comp claim against you. And so, this app actually that we're going to show you is a way of not only taking the steps, but documenting them as well.
Okay.
Thank you for the segue.
Yeah, well, work comp, what's scaring me about work comp is that if you have people come back to work and you tell them that's the way you want them to work and they get sick at work, it's a workers' comp claim instead of a regular old health claim, which has negative repercussions for the employee, who probably would rather not make a work comp claim and would rather go to their normal healthcare channels, or the employer who now has a claim. And so that is one thing that really bothers me. The other thing that I don't like, as you know, is getting my temperature taken. So.
I know.
All right. So All right, so we're going to go into the app now. Are you ready?
I'm ready. We're excited about this.
Okay.
So there's really three phases to this app. And one is for just assuring everybody, including yourself, that the office is actually ready for somebody to come in. And as you can see, it's a quick survey. You go through, there's drop downs on the screen. You can do this each morning just to confirm that everything's ready. And for instance, number 4 is a very good one. Since most people share offices in a building, you can check with the building manager to make sure not only that the rules have been observed, but if there's anything that they're concerned about, if they've heard about any
Okay,
case in the building.
so if I'm an office person and I work on the 3rd floor with my company and it's a 3-floor building, then I go downstairs because I'm the administrator and I check in at the front desk and I make sure there's no COVID cases on other floors.
You got
Right?
it. That's
Okay.
right. Okay,
Okay,
so then you get the screen. Congratulations, you're ready. So next,
okay.
we're ready for our people. Now we got to make sure our people are ready for us. And again, the employees have this short survey to take. They do it on their phones and they answer these 5 questions. And once they've completed that, you'll get your results. And typically, hopefully, most people are going to be okay to come into the office. We have another screen on that, what that shows.
Okay. Yep.
And here's what you get. So you get a QR code that shows that you have passed the questionnaire for being fit to come into work. It's for 1 day. You need to do this on a daily basis, and that QR code is your proof that you have completed the survey and that you are healthy enough to come into the office.
So if I do this, Lisa, and I have, like Armanino has several offices in Northern California, I can only check in once, so I get my QR code and I can go between offices then, right?
Yes, but you need to check in with somebody and just make sure that the workspace is available for you. And I think you're going to talk about that next, Jen, on the.
Okay. So if I get my QR code and I want to go in, the app can also be customized to tell you where to sit. So if you're listening and you're one of these employers who is customizing the office space, putting up plexi shields, we have a lot of people I've talked to have wide open spaces and all of a sudden they've got to put up shields between them. So now they've got to practice social distancing and they want to be able to show and prove anyone who claims that they didn't take good care of their staff that they did it. So this office scheduler app can easily be buckled on to this app. The technological requirements are very low. Our tech team works with your tech team and this app is loaded onto everybody's phone and the workspace is loaded in. So there's a little bit of a map in there and it tells you you've been fit for duty and if you want a place to sit, here's where you're going to sit. And you make a reservation for your desk on this phone. And it makes sure that you're socially distant from other folks because you would block out certain workspaces as not okay. And this is what we talk to people about. You select your workspace, you put in your name, the office map is loaded in here, and you can see where people are going to be sent to sit. You number your offices so people know where to go. And we're actually using this at Armanino. It works really well. Even when it's not COVID times, we have a fairly mobile staff. So we had been testing this even before COVID hit. And now we're using it to space people out so that they're not sitting right on top of each other. Microsoft did an article on this, and we've gotten some press about it because it's so easy to use and it's so practical right now. And that is what we have for you today. That is how we use technology to support HR and operations policies and make that horrible list that I showed you bite-sized and easy to accomplish. The technology will allow you to take care of people while not violating their privacy. If people take their temperature before they go to the office, you don't have to worry about taking their temperature and then maybe sending them home, which would be awkward. And all the data from this app is stored in a SharePoint place on your own server so that you would always have records of who went to work on what day. And if the next day Lisa says, oops, I just found out that my husband was exposed and he just came home from Portland, we can look at who was in the office the day before if we need to do any communications management to make sure that we keep people out and let them know that they need to be safe. So it's a way to mitigate risk, which is great, but it's also going to help everyone with paperwork and file keeping. And it'll be an awesome tool for you if you have the list that's as long as ours is.
Really helpful for communication on all this stuff too. I think everybody right now is just thirsty for communication and information and to keep up with what's going on. So the app can help us with that and keeping everybody apprised of what's going on.
Yep, and it's customizable. It's very affordable. If you would like to talk to us about it, this is my contact, Jenn McCabe, and that is Lisa Hagen's contact. We're easy to reach, and you can find almost everything on our COVID Resource Center at armaninollp.com. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everybody.